invite you to grab a blanket, settle in, and let us take you on a candlelit journey. Story 1, The Ball by Christopher Damiani. The following story I'm about to impart to you, dear listeners, is true. While I was a young child of 7 at the time, the events were told to me by my parents, who had no reason to fabricate such a yarn and still swear its veracity to this day. It occurred in my childhood home, a 100-year-old twin nestled in the sleepy suburban town of Collingdale, Pennsylvania. It doesn't begin with my parents, however, but rather with my great-grandfather and his faithful dog, Daisy. While I don't remember Great-Grandpa very well, I remember many of the pictures I've seen have Daisy by his side. From family parties to vacations and hunting trips, the small dog with the sparkly eyes was ever present. Although I never knew her, Dad always smiled when recounting his memories of the pup. One of her favorite games was playing fetch, particularly with a small black rubber ball, the kind you'd use to play squash. Great-Grandpop had trained Daisy that when it was time to play, he'd put the ball in his pocket and go to the back door. Daisy, in all her wisdom, trained him as well. When she wanted to play, she'd take the ball in her mouth and put it in his pocket. It was their ritual and symbolized the love and bond the pair had for each other. Even though Daisy lived to the ripe old age of 16, Great-Grandfather was heartbroken when she passed. He put the ball away and never looked at it again. My great-grandparents died within a year of each other, and when Great-Grandmom died, the house fell to their children to sell and settle their estate. One of the things we inherited was a magnificent mahogany dining room set, as Dad called it. Although aged with the wear of many family dinners, a few coats of wax brought it back to its old elegance. Along with that came their old bed and nightstand. Although Mom thought it was creepy, it was put into the attic to be used as a spare bedroom. When it first arrived, my brother, sister, and I found the dining room furniture new and amusing. We took to climbing through and under the table legs, jumping off chairs, and searching through the drawers of the china cabinet. Ultimately, we found little of interest in there, a few scraps of paper, some old silverware, and a small black ball. We soon turned our attention to other things, and life went back to normal. The next week, the weather turned incredibly cold, even for early February in the Northeast. The winter wind battered the house, causing the unlatched yard gate to creak and groan. "Are you sure the house won't fall down?" my brother Robert asked my dad as he tucked him in. "I'm scared, it's so windy." "Nothing to worry about. Even the big bad wolf couldn't make a dent in this. It's old Pennsylvania brickwork." He then kissed us goodnight, and we soon drifted off to sleep. As Dad and Mom settled into bed, there came a thump, thump, thump. The footsteps of our next-door neighbor climbing the stairs cut through the stillness of the night. "Ah, the watchman has begun his ghostly patrol," Dad said, doing his best Vincent Price impression. "An added bonus of living in a twin with tissue-thin walls," Mom muttered. The noise quickly dissipated, and they soon drifted off. Neither could remember the exact time, but distinctly were awoken with a thump, thump, thump. "What's that sound?" Mom said, elbowing Dad in the ribs. "What? Probably just me snoring," Dad said. Thump, thump, thump. The sound growing louder, piercing the eerie stillness. Both sat up in bed. "Sounds like next door. But what's he doing up?" Dad glanced at the clock. "It's 3:23. Doesn't he know some of us old folk have to work in the morning? Must be nice to be living that retired life." His voice was cut off by that odd, hollow sound. Thump, thump, thump. "Go check on the kids. Maybe they woke up and they're playing around," Mom insisted. Dad crawled out of bed and went out the door. A few moments later, his voice came over the baby monitor. "Hello, Houston. All things nominal here, but we're hearing a weird sound. Could be aliens. We'll make sure we're wearing our tinfoil hats. Over." "Idiot." Mom sighed and laid back down. Dad returned to the room and began to climb in bed when it happened again. Thump, thump, thump. She sat straight up. "Okay, this isn't going to stop, and it sounds like it's coming from the attic. Go see what it is. Maybe a bird got in and it's hurt or something." "Now?" Dad exclaimed. "I do have to get up for work soon." He paused a moment and then said, "Wait, I know what it is. Robert found a ball and was up there playing with it earlier. I bet it rolled off the table, and that's what we heard." Mom looked at him skeptically. "Or maybe it's a hurt bird up there," Dad quickly said. "Either way, I'm too tired to do anything right now. I promise I'll check in the morning." Although Mom wanted to protest, she accepted his answer, and soon Both went back to sleep. Things remained quiet the rest of the night. Morning came, and with it rain. The wind howled and thunder clapped, startling Mom awake with a jolt. Dad, just out of the shower, was drying his hair and pulling on his trousers. "Well?" Mom asked accusingly, giving him a cold stare. "Well, what?" Dad's puzzled look illustrated his fatigue. "Did you check the attic?" No." He paused and said, "You come too." "Fine, Mr. Scaredy Pants, but if we find an alien up there, I'm stealing your hat." The pair slowly crept up the attic stairs as if they expected to see a ghostly tea party. Finding no animals and nothing disturbed, their courage returned, and they began opening drawers and closets. "Hey, look over here," Dad said, walking over to the bed. He picked up a small black ball. Odd, he thought, as there also was a small impression in the bedsheet, as if something had laid on the bed next to where the ball was found. He stood silent for a moment, then whispered, "Daisy?" What is it?" Mom said as she walked over to him. "What do you have there?" Dad held up the ball. "It's the ball that Robert found. It belonged to Daisy, my grandfather's dog." He dropped the ball on the hardwood floor, and it bounced with a thump, thump, thump. "Oh," Mom said with a sigh of relief, "I guess you were right. He must have left it on the nightstand, and it rolled." Her voice trailed off as her eyes widened. All the color drained from her face. "But how did it get in the middle of the bed?" she exclaimed. Thus ends the tale, and while the ball disappeared soon afterwards, the mystery remains with us to this day. Story number 2. Parting of Friends. The two old friends walked along together over a carpet of red and yellow leaves, covering the path through the woods. The blue autumn sky was crisp and clean. They had made this journey to the lake